All right.
Hi, Chad.
All right. Well, Luke, do you want to say
Yeah, we
hello
could
and
kick things
represent
off
our
a little
guest
bit.
here?
So, hello, hello. Thank you all for tuning in, whether you're watching this live or on the recorded version. We are very happy to have a very special guest today, talking to us a little bit about the biz dev side of things. You want to introduce yourself? Maybe say kind of what your background is. What we typically do with this is you can see the chat is popping already, but we'll have kind of questions coming through that might come up. Pull people up to the speakers if they want to ask their question in IRL, so to speak, or we'll pull them from the chat as well. So I'll be grabbing questions and putting them in our doc over here. But yeah, if you want to just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what your role currently looks like.
Thank you so much, Luke. Thank you to you, Amir, and Justin for having me today. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here. This means a lot. And I'm super excited to meet everybody today. My name's Ayan, and I have been in the game industry for about 8 years now. So I started off doing business development in the events and esports space, and I migrated over to game production, where right now I'm in one of the toughest categories of BD, which is art outsourcing and external development. So anyone that's in my neck of the woods knows it's not an easy time for us either. So I've been navigating that, and I think I learned a lot because I've been doing that for the past 4 years. But definitely, sales is my passion, and I know it sounds crazy to say that, but I think it's been something that I've been trying to really help people understand from an ethical standpoint, and just it really means a lot to me that the craft is done well. So I'm so happy to help answer any questions and provide any advice that I've learned about revenue generation and account management, which is what I do now at the senior level. I'm a key account manager at BOSi Art Studios.
So
I'm yeah.
I would say this. So can you explain, like, how did you get into, you have a plethora of different abilities, right? You have PR, you have marketing, you have BD, right? And so that's kind of one of the questions that we get here all the time is, what's my path? How do I get into XYZ? How do I get into PR? How do I get into biz dev? What would you say is the good qualities to get into that, and what's really essential for the type of roles that you've been in?
That's a great question. So, my career pathways, I had a bit of an unconventional path into my career. So, for those of you that don't know, I'm a mom, so my kid's 12 now. And when I was in school, I was a mature student. So, I was going back to school after taking, I guess, like 5 years off post high school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. All I know is that I wanted a health degree. And the entire time I was studying, I was really bored. I didn't feel very engaged with my work. I was kind of just doing it because I have immigrant parents. And then when it got to the point where I was close to finishing off my degree, I had already done so much volunteer work on my esports campus club. And I was like, okay, I'm making so many connections all around the world, getting to go to events. Like, I got to intern at Pokemon, and that was, or TPCI was the client, the Pokemon Company International. And that was like a really great opportunity. That was like a once in a lifetime kind of thing because my mentor was doing biz dev and events. And he was like, hey, you won't get paid for this, but do you want to come out and intern at this event? And I'm like, absolutely. Sure, like what do I have to do? And it was really tough at the time because I was a student, didn't really have the finances. So really how I got into my pathway was just a lot of volunteering, a lot of presence, and asking how I could get back to my community. So I worked a lot of free events until people started contracting me out for paid events. So some of my first paid clients were MLSC, the sporting group, entertainment. They do like the Raptors and all that. They were doing NHL. And it was a professional event that was like a big gig. But before that, I had done so many unpaid university events that didn't profit until the final flagship event that we did. So really just continuously putting myself out there was how I got there. And then afterwards, I had to actually pivot into tech because my first gaming job right out of school, it was really low pay. Getting like below minimum wage. And it was only because the pandemic opened up opportunities to work in the United States for Canadians. So I had no shot before that. And then I finally had a shot. So events went away, it disintegrated. And then my shot at gaming in publishing came up, and I was like, okay, I'll take this opportunity. And then after that, I got laid off because of company money issues, which is fine. I think that's like everyone's story. So I got laid off. I had to eat it, and then I had to take an opportunity that was actually a lot tougher. It was like a Silicon Valley tech startup, and they wanted me to do user acquisition, and they had like an esports division, like everyone did back then. So they were like, hey, we need you to help us with our esports audience. And I'm like, influencers? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, bet, let's do it. I'll use what I learned and try to help you. And I started doing that, and then it was really, really tough. I didn't really get like holidays off and stuff. And then I kept the grind set going until I went into tech, and I was so bored. I was like, this sucks. Like I don't mind. Like, I'm so sorry to be very transparent. I know this is recorded, but like I was so bored. I was like, in tech, I was kind of like, oh, I really like the free food, and I'm like, that's not why I should be working. Like, I should be enjoying what I do. So I was like, okay, if I ever get a gaming opportunity again, I'll take it. And then I got really lucky because BOSi was recruiting, and they found me because of an intern that they hired. I think the recruiter hired an intern who found me. It was a very convoluted thing, but she was like, okay, let's bring you in for an interview. And someone like with a lot of seniority was leaving, so I got to kind of fill their shoes, which was really difficult to do, but I learned really fast by being thrown to the wolves. And yeah, that's how I stayed in outsourcing. I was like, this is a great way to, I guess, be a part of the industry, but do something that I like, because I had found myself at different verticals of production, but it was always like, you talk too much, go talk to clients, go be front facing, go be a brand ambassador. And I was like, okay, I guess sales is for me.
That's awesome. Well, I love that too, because I think coming like me and Justin as recruiters on the recruiting side, I feel like recruiters and biz dev, it's like people when they think, especially at the gaming industry, don't often think of like these like adjacent roles that aren't like you're not designing levels, you're also not like programming, but there's a much bigger industry out there in terms of roles you can support. So I love that you're kind of like had your options open, you're making your own luck by like volunteering and knowing people. But for me, I like hearing about this, just when in terms of like the roles that are out there, there's so many roles out there, especially for people like yourself that you said like you like the sales and the biz dev side of things. But I'd love to hear, like, I know one thing I talk about with, especially I work with a lot with students, so love to hear the internship story. That's awesome. But like, what from your perspective now, like, can you even just like go all the way back and define biz dev, account management? Like, what does that look like? I think for some of these folks that are like looking at roles, like, what does it actually look like in your day to day?
Yeah, of course. So I know that sometimes when I talk about business development to people that are not in the gaming industry or in the tech industry, they actually don't even know what I'm talking about. So I'm like, oh, it's really not that popular outside of our spheres. And even in our sphere, sometimes it's a little confusing. So I realize sometimes I'm communicating terms that might not make sense to people. So we're definitely on the business, and I guess you can add in the legal side of game development, because there's a lot of contracts involved and lots of support to the gaming team. So what it looks like for me in outsourcing a day to day is I will log in and complete my production related tasks. So if I have existing clients that have needs that need to be fulfilled, so if they need meetings or I need to discuss the scope of work with them, how much work is coming in, I'll set up calls and I'll set up meetings with them. And if I need to do outreach, I'm using CRM to contact lots of people. So I have targets, I have targets to hit, I have deal goals, I have quotas to hit, and if I hit my quota by the end of the year, then I'm performing. And if I don't hit my quota, then I'm not. So it's kind of like that all across the board. Like whichever team you join, your job as someone in business development is to generate revenue, and it's a very results based job. And if you're in key account management like me, your goal is to make high value partnerships cost even more. So like it's not like cost more to the client, but like generate even more revenue. So if I brought in a client, for example, and they're like 500,000, then how can I bring them to 2 million? That's like something I'm thinking about. And then I'm planning with the production team, like how to help grow that account and how to be more involved in their production pipeline as the game progresses. So right now I work on the art side. So if we were doing something like concept or 3D work or VFX or something else, then if I'm missing some kind of service line like rigging or animation, how can I involve that to get our team working on some more things and supporting the partner in a larger larger way, and how can I make it so that the partner has an easy time working with us, ease up some friction, give them somebody to vent to when things aren't going right, and also whatever they need. Really, it's kind of like in BD, I'm their friend. And then when it gets to like key account management, I'm your best friend. Like, you can call me for anything because you're already working with us. Yeah.
Seems
awesome.
like we're having
Just
Discord issues tonight here, guys. So
I was gonna
sorry.
say, looking at the chat.
I'm trying to be tech
No,
support
it's okay. I
here.
feel so bad.
Some people are saying they can see us. Some people are saying they can't. We have
That's
no
crazy.
idea, but we're going to keep it moving, right? But that was your question, Luke. The other thing I want to point out, as far as Ayan. So, as you know, in the gaming community, it's very hard for someone who's a minority or even a female get into this type of space. Any tips or what's been kind of your success stories in this kind of navigating the space?
Yeah, that's definitely a great question. I am so my background is like I'm biracial, and my mom's Somali, my dad's Italian. So I grew up in Toronto. It's a very ethnically diverse place. There's so many people from so many walks of life. I meet a lot of people that don't look like me, and every day I'm meeting constantly like new people, and it's really awesome. Growing up, I feel like I've always been in a melting pot, but then I realized like somewhere down my career that I was like, oh, the rest of the world's kind of different. So like some communities could be a little more homogenous. People might not be used to seeing other people, or they might be more used to their own community, which is totally fine. And especially when I got into external development, I learned that some countries are so used to being homogenous too. So I just had to learn how to be aware of that. I cross collaborate with China right now a lot because that's where our production resources are located. And it taught me a lot about cultural differences across the world, how different people show up in production, how people ask for things. And I feel like, and then like lots of the team is, they're also English second language. So it kind of reminds me of like my parents growing up, they're English second language as well. So I always translate for them, always help them with everything. So that was something that was kind of not foreign to me, it was familiar. So that made the work a little bit closer to home. It made me really, really care and get more protective. And another thing for me personally in the industry is obviously being a woman in the industry was a bit challenging because I started off in esports, and that's very like a bro zone. Like everyone in there is like a dude, and and it's funny because esports is not just like, it's not only that, it's also, it can be ageist sometimes because you peak when you're like 22. So like they'll call you old. Like I was old the whole time I was there. Like I was the esports auntie or the esports mom or something. And I'm like, guys, I'm literally 25. And they're like, no, you're old. Like today they would have called me Unk. So I was like, okay, cool. That's how you see me. But yeah, I would say that I kind of just stopped letting it get to me. Before I did used to get in my head about it. I had some imposter syndrome, but then I learned about representation and how important it was. And I was like, hey, if there's other girls in the industry and they see me, or women, they might want to get involved. And that's what started happening. So right at the early stages, I noticed when I joined my esports club, I increased female participation by this landslide amount. And we had so many leaders that joined that ended up being girls and women. And the same thing happened in my workplace. It was kind of funny because there's like this joke with my boss that she only hires women, but it's not intentional. It's by accident. So it's kind of funny how it's very obvious and apparent that that's the case now because there's four of us. But we still have a man, our senior producer. He was there before me, so it's kind of hilarious, and it's something that I noticed. I was like, oh, people are really vocal when the minority is the very present group, and that's something that over time I was getting used to it. But I feel like our differences are what make us special. So regardless of where somebody's from, I always want to learn more about their background. Who are you? Well, what can you teach me about where you're from? It's such a great learning experience. So I would say I don't have like a very sad outlook towards that. I think it's more positive, especially with how the world's becoming more globalized now. I know now like it could be popular to rage bait people or say things, but I think a lot of there's still a lot of good people in the world.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like optimism overload. I'm not even faking it. This is who I
No,
am.
no, you're fine. So 22 is old, huh? I'm a dinosaur then. Holy smokes.
I know. I belong in a museum
I'm
too. It's
like
okay.
uncle. I'm like uncle's uncle, unk.
Granduncle, yeah, granduncle.
You know, that's I play a lot of League of Legends, so when he said that, I thought about when Ezreal's like, "You belong in a museum." I'm like,
Uh,
that never made sense until now.
but you know what's funny though? The League of Legend pros are all unk status, right? Tyler won, right? And of course Faker. Hello, like
Yeah, they're all unks now. Yeah, and they started off really young, but it's kind of funny because when I was starting off, like they were the coolest people ever. Everybody wanted to be them. Now I'll tell like the kids in my life, like my son and my niece or my little brothers, that like I'm like thinking about playing the league again, and they're like talking to me like I'm a fossil because they're into Valorant, they're into Roblox, they're into other stuff. So it's
yep.
kind of funny. I don't fit in anymore.
Do you so that's interesting. You know, esports, that's something that I kind of had experience in. I don't know, Luke, if you had experience with the esports side.
Just watching.
Just watching, yeah. I mean, at Riot and at Blizzard. So Riot was pretty cool. We had like the arena, and then Blizzard would do their. I was at the Overwatch Championships, but I never worked directly with the esports side. So what's like the main difference when working with like corporate, we'll use my old company, Blizzard, corporate Blizzard, or the esports side of Blizzard? Is there a difference? Is there like a different culture, or is it harder to get into one or the other?
Oh, that's a great question. So, having serviced clients on the esports side and on the corporate game production side, I think there's a huge difference. It's definitely in how the companies are structured and what they invest their resources into. So, I know that right now, some teams like Activision are starting to strongly invest in esports again, and they're getting it back in everyone's head and they're trying to push it a little bit more like previously. But at the time, I was pretty not early, but it was like 2017 to 2020-ish, 2021, 22. And that was the time where there were a lot of growing pains. And from the events perspective, events are just kind of volatile in general. How I noticed that they're organized, even the most corporate structured group can't deal with the unpredictable stuff that happens at events. That's just how it goes. And everybody in that side of the industry would probably say the same thing. Like, no matter how much planning you do, there's always going to be fires the day of. There's always going to be people pulling out last minute. There's always going to be things to look out for that are a lot more fast paced than game production. So I think that was the thing that was a little bit alarming to me, was getting in from events and then switching over to game production, which felt a little bit slow in the beginning. So I wasn't getting bored, but I was thinking of, why does it feel so slow? Why is it so dead? Why are there so many holidays? Because in esports, not many people took as many holidays either, because they still have a long ways to go with structure, making sure that workplaces are being habitable for people and such. And also, a lot of the work happens on the weekends, or it would last like maybe 2 whole weeks, and then you would get a lot of downtime, but then you would be working again for 3 whole weeks. So it really depends. And when we would fly off to different shows, because we would have to service clients outside of esports clients too, so we serviced Bitcoin as well in addition to other events. It just made the schedule a lot busier, and that was because we needed the corporate side of things from other industries to keep the business afloat. Yeah. So I would say that dealing with the gaming corporate side is a little bit better for me because I like having a little bit of flexibility. I like having weekends off. It's better for my lifestyle. So I would recommend to anybody that if you want to do things really fast and you want to get a lot of experience all at once, it's good to try events. But if you want to slow things down and you want to work a more stable career, then and sales or business development is still somewhere you want to be, then consider something like what I'm doing right now, which is co-development, outsourcing, another part of the industry, because it's a little bit structured. It's a little tough too, because it's not as glamorous to some people as working for the actual game studio, but there can be a bit more job security too.
Hmm.
Oh, I think my audio busted.
No,
Hold on,
I
sorry.
think Luke. went out.
Oh, okay. I thought it was me.
Is it my
There
back?
you go. There you
I feel like
Yeah,
Discord
you're
is
back.
like super fragile. I can't even move to like turn off anything else. I was gonna ask. That's actually a great segue. I think the outsourcing and corp dev stuff is a or co-dev stuff. I think is something that's really cool to see rising up. And I think even like as you're seeing like small to mid-sized studios even doing their own like publishing labels now, or like trying to support, like you see Midwest Games, you see like Outer Sloth and
Yes.
Inner Sloth. You see, I think, more of like a normalization of some of this co-dev outsourcing. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what you've seen from your side of things, as far as like, I think that's something that we push, we talk about in the community, is like, don't look at just the top three, biggest game, Riot Blizzards, out there. Like, try to look at these other companies that are out there. And I'm always I'm seeing companies, I'm like, this is new to me. I've never even heard of this one, but they're hiring, which is great. So can you talk more about kind of that realm?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love that you brought up Midwest Games. All the work that Ben's team is doing is awesome. And he's so energetic. He's always at all the events. So that's cool. I definitely think that codev should be considered by more folks that are living in North America or on this part of the world, like especially because there's a lot of people that need to work with the teams that actually do the co-development. So it's really hard for those teams to facilitate work on their own because of, like I said, language barriers and other things. So if you were considering having a career in BD, it's a good way to start. And there's some companies that are healthy enough that they could hire people on the production side. So if you were considering production, it's a great way too. One thing that I really like about it is I like managing multiple things at once. So I don't like being on one project. I like being on multiple. So the cool thing is, for some people, they might work on 2 or 3 games. I get to work on 15 or maybe 20, and they might not all last very long. Some of them might be sprints or bursts of work, but it's really cool. And you still get the same access to the IP. Like you have to be on NDAs, but for example, there's some stuff that's not NDA, but like I just got put on the 2K credits, which is really cool. And I don't know how long something like that would have taken if I was in a sole studio working for Take Two or something. So that is like one good step. Like you could get game production credits, which is what a lot of people look for when it comes to resumes and hiring and job applications. So I can't recommend it enough. For people who feel like you have the skill set to do the revenue generation to go that direction. And it's not something everybody knows about because I didn't even know about it until I got into it. I had no idea this was even a career pathway, and I didn't know much about art either, but I had to learn everything. So I had 4 years to learn. I understand more of the art pipeline now. But the cool part is I still get to lean on production people that know more than me. And if I have questions, they'll always support me and we work together as a team. And for me, it's more like the love of the craft of production is what got me here.
You know,
That's awesome.
it's interesting, right? The question, as we get a lot from recruiters, is how do we break into the game biz, right? How do we break into game biz? And normally people think, oh, it's QA, right? QA testing. You just become a QA tester. But honestly, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Luke, but honestly, BD is the route to go, like sales. Like if you've been in customer service, if you worked retail, if you know how to deal with crazy irate customers, you know how to navigate clients. You're a hustler by nature. You're working Christmas hours, you're working Thanksgiving hours, you're working all 12-hour shifts in retail, and BD can open up so many pathways, right? You mentioned a couple, right? You mentioned licensing, you mentioned
Yes.
partnerships, and if you think about it, right, your BD, which is you're talking to people. You also mentioned talent management, which is something new that I've been seeing, like with Mythic Talent. I've been seeing that, especially with Knight, who does Mr. Beast talent
Yes.
rosters, and essentially for those who don't know, talent managers or talent recruiters, they go after creators. They go after creators, and think of it like Jerry Maguire. Okay, maybe you guys are all too young to know about Jerry Maguire. Think about all right. Think about Mr. Beast, right? Like if you want to get Mr.
I
Beast,
show speed.
or
Yeah.
Kai Cenat, you want to get Kai Cenat
Yeah, there you go.
in your company.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to get Kai Cenat in your company, and you get like 10% for every deal that he does, right? You're his talent agent, so you have a talent agency. there's just so many different paths you can go, right? And I think that's some of the coolest ones is like licensing too. Like licensing, you can do like if you work for Legoland, or you look for, how can you get your license out to Square Enix, and you do a collaboration there. Blizzard is known for doing so many good collaborations in Overwatch and Diablo. But yeah, I mean, am I right, Luke? You're nodding your head. So is your
Well, the
mic
thing
off?
that
There
I
you go.
think a lot about with biz dev is that it's a great, I think it's, just being realistic, it's a great place where you can have just broaden your horizons and broaden your market if you need to pop off, or whether you're getting your start or not. Like, I've seen plenty of my biz dev friends get laid off from their position in gaming, but their skill set that allows them to kind of, like, I think we talked about this before, like the boomerang candidates, like they go find a job somewhere else in a different industry. Because biz dev and sales and those types of skills are like pretty transferable. Like what you're selling, your knowledge base of that or your passion for it might change, right? I'm obviously more passionate about games than I would be anything else, but like I've seen some of my friends kind of go in and out and either get their start, off games, kind of back into games. Even it kind of sounds like what your experience was, Ayan, as well. So yeah, I 100% agree on that.
Yeah, I also agree with the licensing route. I think it's really cool because I get to work on a lot of IP. So like one of our partners is Scopely's Marvel Strike Force. So it's really cool to be able to support Marvel in such a large capacity. They're like a key account, and I get to help them a lot. I get to interact with their team. Their team's really awesome, and I really do like it when I learn cool things about BOSi, right? Because they've been around for almost it's been over 15 years. So some of the earliest things we worked on were like Fortnite season 1 and 2. So when I first joined, we were kind of working through getting a lot of visibility on some of the work that we had done. And then I started learning even more. I was like, wow, we worked on Infinity Nikki. We did these titles. This is really awesome. And the team in China, like the domestic, we call them the domestic projects. They're like, you mean that's popular in the West? I'm like, yeah, it's popular right now. It's like actually booming, and they didn't know. So I was like, okay, cool. We're gonna put this all over everything. So now if you look at the decks, it's like Infinity Nikki's everywhere, and you have other stuff because I was like, this is a niche that people are trying to fill, and that's why I say that it's good to have people from this side of the world join that part of the industry, because you can really support these teams in marketing and branding themselves, and you will also have a lot more job stability if you're able to generate the revenue to the amount that you're expected to. So if it doesn't sound intimidating or daunting to have like 1 million or 2 million quotas on your head, then do it. You know what I mean? But if it sounds scary, then you know what I mean. Be scared,
Oh yeah,
rightfully so. But
100%.
there's so many people that are willing to help. Yeah.
Some people need the like the pressure and like the deadlines and like friends that are in like mission based jobs. It's like some people need that. Like I think I get a little too stressed about that, but it definitely works for the right
Yeah.
person for sure.
Yeah, Luke.
Yeah, I really like it. And for a while, okay, now I'm starting to kind of switch off of it. But for a while, I really liked the evening work hours. Now it's kind of getting to me because I'm starting to age. But like before, I
Starting
was
to get
like, oh, I
burnout.
really like this. Because I used to be like, yeah, I could go have fun. I could do whatever I want. I don't have to wake up so early for work. And now I'm just like, oh, like, I'm like, okay, like, this is like, I want to be up early. Like, I feel like the closer you get to like 35, you're like, okay, I want to just be up early. I want to go to bed early on weekends. I don't want to do anything anymore. And yeah,
They
so
they got
I'm
some of
kind
the
of starting.
best events too, right? When you guys are being invited to so many great events as partnerships and biz dev. I see like I've been seeing like the Fortnite events recently. Rest in peace though with the layoffs, unfortunately. But you guys get
Yeah.
invited to so many cool events. Luke, the other Luke said, I always thought biz dev just meant getting new clients. Go sell, and maybe there's more to it than that. Yeah, if you didn't catch us earlier, biz dev is sales, right? Sales and customer service, and you can be an
Yes.
account manager, you can be a product manager. And do you guys understand what product manager translates to in the gaming world? It's player experience manager, it's live ops manager. So that's kind of the thing as a recruiter. We see it all the time. It's kind of funny. People don't realize that those labor categories are all the same. So it's like We see product manager in Microsoft world and in Nvidia world, but in AAA, what does that mean? All that means is just you're a manager for the video game, and how do you do that? Player experience or live ops, So think about it like a little seed. It can like a little tech tree, right? StarCraft 2, your tech tree can grow and grow and grow and grow. So I know what you're thinking is, Luke. It's like, well, I thought biz dev is just getting new clients. Yeah, it can be, but you got to think big picture than that. I don't know, Ian, you want to jump in?
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. It's so it can be about getting new clients, sure, for some people, but definitely big picture, you have to think about how can you grow that partnership and how can you be a solution to their problems. So it definitely takes understanding the landscape of how games are developed. I think it's a lot better when you learn more about the game production pipeline overall. So even if you're just involved in art like I am, I still try to go beyond that a little bit, ask about when's your vertical slice? Like, what's that looking like? Like, what are you preparing for? What are your milestones? And I also review the games that people, because sometimes when someone's starting a new studio, they're kind of pitching their game to service providers or people to help to see if they'll work with them because they have an idea and they need to get investment. So that's one good thing. Like sometimes people will come to you for advice. So it can be a little bit consultative too. Like you might have to involve like your director of production or somebody high level to support the client and guide them and really say, hey, this might be a good strategy for you to cut costs on this. Because when they pitch to publishers, they're going to need that advice from people that have worked on so many projects in the past. And providers definitely are the people that have supported a lot of projects across the board. So they'll understand, okay, this person does it this way. You won't reveal proprietary information from another client, but if there is something that has a pipeline similarity, then yeah, you can use that. And you're helping them save money, you're helping them cut costs because right now, the biggest problem that I'm seeing in games is there's not a lot of sustainability. So people don't really have those big, large budgets that they used to make like $350 million games. It's just not very sustainable for anybody outside of AAA to do that. And it's very hard for even AAA to maintain that at this point because there's entire development studios in different countries that are doing it for 30 million and selling out like Black Myth Wukong, for example, and other games in India. So the competition is really fierce there. So just thinking about how you can be a sustainable component and use the resources around you to support people to grow things, that's what builds trust. And that trust is what's going to carry you with the partners. Like I feel like everything else matters too. The knowledge matters, the other stuff matters, getting the clients matters, obviously generating the revenue matters. But when people trust you, that's when you're able to really make sales to them directly.
You mentioned my game, Wukong.
Yay! I'm reading the chat too to
Yeah,
see
someone
in case
mentioned,
there are.
can you talk about Jack's? So he mentioned manual QA in games doesn't transfer well to tech industry where they expect QA automation, software devs. Um, I'll spit out something real quick on that, and if you guys want to hop in, Luke or Ryan. So yeah, I mean, there's two different types of QA, right? So QA is like your QA customer service side, and then there's QA development side. I think you're talking about the automation and scripting and programming QA. Um, the Again, you got to think big picture. When I said QA, I was talking about, what we called QA in Blizzard? We called them game masters, GMs. You know, we called them email responders. We called them play testers, right? QA is just quality assurance. Break it down as simple like that. You don't have to like put a label on it. Oh, I can't be a software manual QA automated tester. Yeah, yeah, I understand that's one side, but there's also the customer service side. And
Yeah.
I just posted someone's. Oh, the Sega community. I posted the Sega community manager girl. She who her tweet went viral, and I looked at her profile and I posted this in Uplift Lounge. She started off in QA customer service at Sega, and then she went into PR. Right? She didn't have PR experience. She didn't have a PR degree, and then she went into marketing. She started doing Google AdWords and CPMs, which is clicks per minute, or cost per minute. And now she's like the head community manager for socials on Sega. So
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah, she had like 50 million views on her viral tweet. It was crazy. Did you see
Yeah,
it?
when I did publishing startup work, that I kind of did some QA work too, because we had to like kind of teach people. We're like, hey, this is where your hood is, this is what you're doing, this is what's up, and we were aggregating all the feedback. So I'm like, it's kind of similar. It was not really QA necessarily, but it was kind of part of the pipeline, and we have QA teams too. I really do see QA teams as superheroes because they kind of keep everything running. Like you're really helping everybody, and they're, like you said, they're often the face of everything. So it's really cool that she got recognized for what she did.
I kind of be curious. You mentioned art pipeline, and I know obviously the art pipeline stuff, and for artists, I think a big part of what I see on the student perspective is trying to figure out where in that art pipeline they want to go, and like figure out like, hey, like, do you want to be viz dev, like everybody wants to be viz dev concept artist is what normally happens, and then they realize, oh wait, there's like a small percentage of jobs in concept art. So then there's VFX, there's technical artists, there's 3D environment, there's such a pipeline through that. But then like thinking through the ways, especially like your studios help support, what does that art pipeline look like? Or like, do you have advice for artists that are kind of thinking about like where they could fit their skills in, whether it's at a studio, whether it's at a co-dev spot? Like, any advice on kind of the art pipeline side of stuff that you've worked with?
Ooh, absolutely. So I've made hundreds of portfolios on behalf of other artists. So I know what clients are usually looking for. So definitely, this is a question I love to help answer for any aspiring game artists. I do think that it's good to look at fields that are in demand more so than others. So like if you for sure, like if you're passionate about being a concept artist, then stay creative and think about how to be creative in ways that are not being executed by things like AI. Because I will be honest, a lot of people are using it, and they're using it in the 2D pipeline,
Hmm.
they're using it in the 3D pipeline for different reasons. Some people are even trying to use it for rigging and for animation. And however we feel about the topic, it's very present, and it's something that people are using to cut costs and save on budgets. And they're not using it to replace art talent, but they are using it to accelerate the process. Because, like I said, the big issue is sustainability and time. So, figuring out how you can be a more efficient artist is definitely going to make you stand out and be more competitive. I also think that a lot of time needs to go into your portfolio, because your portfolio really speaks to your skills. And a lot of people, they do make portfolios, but they don't get a lot of feedback on their portfolios. So we actually do a lot of feedback reviews for portfolios for even work for hire studios with professional artists. So clients will sometimes do panels that we have to attend, and they'll say, this is what's in a good portfolio, this is what's in a bad portfolio, leave this out of it, we're not looking for this, we're looking for this. And sometimes I've had to iterate on portfolios for a week straight if it's a client that we really want to land. Like like if you're thinking about Xbox or Sony or other really strict studios with guidelines on how they want their artwork done, they have a lot of material out there, and they do provide a lot of free advice if you talk to the right people. Like you could ask somebody in the industry that's working on the partnership side and say, hey, when you're looking for a portfolio from an art team or from an artist, what is it that you look for? I think that getting feedback from people that are actually in the position, that are working adjacent to you, I think that's the best thing to do. I don't think it's, or sorry, across from you. I think that's the best thing to do. And it's gonna suck at first, but it's a good way to start. And I know people are used to feedback in school, but I mean like real professional, like raw feedback that's not gonna make you feel happy. Like find as many people that you can, like that are in the art director roles or others, because they're so willing to get back, and just get as much advice as you can from them. I do it even on the BD side. I used to get some advice from peers in the industry, and I would tell them, hey, I'm not closing any deals, what am I doing wrong? And they're like, your funnel sucks, it's not big enough, your decks are not good, like change all of this is bad. And I'm like, okay. So I would scratch it, take it out, and at first I was really sensitive, but then I was like, okay, you know what, if I don't do this, I'm not going to improve, and the quality of my work is going to stagnate. and it's going to stay the same. So I am continuously getting feedback from leadership on my team, from external teams we're the external team that helps the internal game teams, but I'm always getting feedback from internal game teams. And yeah, I think that's I said feedback like probably like 20 times, but that's definitely one of the ways to do it. And another way too is thinking about how you could be creative beyond technology, because I learned a lot about what type of artists are relying on buttons uh, or on photo bashing or other techniques that AI can replicate really easily. So if concept is something that you want to do, then how are you going to be creative? How are you going to stand out? Are you staying in the market trends? Like, you know, that realistic is great for AAA teams, but there's a lot of teams that are doing more stylized work because it's actually cheaper, like it's more cost efficient. If you're 3D artists, like how good are you? How good are you when it comes to sculpted hair or making things look good in that kind of pipeline? So I feel like it's all over the place. And then if you're in animation, can like what's your skill level when it comes to animation? Like, are you only focused on animating sorry are you only focused on animating in games, or are you also thinking about film? Are you thinking about other things? And for VFX artists, like the thing about VFX, the joke is that there's not a lot of them, but there's so many of them at the same time, so they're always in demand. But there's also a lot of VFX artists that are looking for work, and sometimes it could be that their work is not being shown in the light that it should be. So that is something too. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of people advocating internally for their art to be shown. And it's not anything, it's not any disrespect to the artist. It's a rough time right now. So there just has to be more business sense in there. And the really good artists that I'm learning from, like the art directors, the ones that stayed visible, they're the ones that keep getting rehired because they have their portfolios in check. They have all of their credentials listed everywhere. Everything that they've ever worked on is visible, and they continuously show up to everywhere that they can to get advice or see how they can proceed. But it's just a really unmatched, unprecedented time in the industry right now where there's so many talented people out of work. So I don't think it's anybody's fault. I just think it's a tougher competition right now. And as many metrics or things you can include, you should, because that's even from the business side. If we don't share our metrics, then we're not really showing anybody how we can provide them with value. Hopefully that was a helpful answer.
Yeah, I love the idea of like staying visible. I think is like such a great way to phrase it, because I think that applies to like so many things. Whether it's like, hey, is your project under NDA? Like, are you going to be able to show that project or not? Read your documents, make sure you know what you can put on your portfolio. And if you can't put it on your portfolio, you know, always be prepared. Like, do you have some other personal projects? You have something else you're working on your off time to put on there? Um,
Ooh,
is one
I have
thing.
actually a good answer to
Yeah.
that one too. So, how you can get around NDAs is you can talk about things if you're speaking in a more general sense about the pipeline. So, like, as long as you're not sharing clients' proprietary information, you can talk about a pipeline that you worked on for a AAA game studio as long as you keep it all confidential. You're not really revealing anything, but you have to be smart about how you share that information because you don't want to break NDA. Breaking NDA is going to ruin your reputation. It's also going to make you it's like the easiest way to get blackballed in the industry is breaking NDA. Like, you should, that's like the only way I've seen people get fired is by leaking stuff or breaking NDA. That's it. And it sucks, but that's how it goes. So there's some projects that even teams like ours have worked on where we just cannot share it because the client says no. Like, they're like, no, we never released it. So even the internal artists that worked on it can't show it. But there are times where sometimes people will, if you ask, they'll say, okay, well, you can share it as long as you don't send it directly to someone and it's not archived. So that's a good way around it. You still have the chance to talk about your work, but you can't share it physically. So it really depends on who it is, though, because some will say absolutely not. So I would say for some people, it is good to ask as much as you can. That's one thing that I do in my job is I ask people for it's mostly actually leadership that asks for testimonials, But asking for testimonials is a good thing to do too, from your peers, from people that you work with, and also asking the people that you worked with if you were able to share any type of material at all. So I did some events production before, and I got some mentees of mine jobs, and then they would do photography work, and then the NDA says, oh, you cannot share your photography. And I would talk to the client and I would say, hey, they really need that for their portfolio. It's like their early career. Can we work something out? And they're like, you could show the pictures when you meet people. You just can't send it directly because we don't want it on websites. And we're like, okay, now at least you have something that you can keep on your phone and you can pull it out when people are around and you could say, this is what I worked on. So always having your work on you is really important too. I keep all my portfolios on me at all times. And it's not because like, you know, like I don't believe in work-life balance, but it's because if I ever meet somebody at an event and let's say I left my iPad at the hotel and I'm going to the event or something and no one wants iPads around, I need it on my phone so I can pull it up right away. And I save everything locally too, just in case, so that I always have a visual response because it's art. People care about what they can see in front of them.
That's super smart to carry around
Thank you.
your portfolio. Yeah, it's just like, hey, let me. It's like those Pokemon conventions. You got your binder. Hey, let me show you what I got.
Yeah. Oh my God, I meet people like that, and they're like, "This is my card. It's worth $350,000." I'm like, "What?" But they have like a whole binder full of them. It's really awesome.
Yeah, I think that's really smart what you just said though, about
Thank you.
making sure that you stay ahead of and as a recruiter too and a hiring manager, we understand too. Like we're not dumb. Like if someone says, and we say, hey, can we talk about this experience? And they say, well, I have an NDA, and we usually try to hold their hand by saying, hey, okay, do your best you can, you know. And so we're like, I, I think people in chat and I've seen on LinkedIn, people just get so frustrated they just shut down. They're like, "There's nothing I can do because I got an NDA," and it's just you just gave three good examples on what to do. Show your portfolio, talk about your experience, talk about your recommendations. Like those are the three biggest examples there. Um, Jose got another question here. Just one question relating to what I just heard about NDAs. When a project is canceled, do you get notified about it immediately? Like, that's a good question. So let's say you worked at a company 5 years ago, you're no longer there, or you did a project 5 years ago. Do you get notified about your NDA?
Oh, that's a good question for me. So I have been on some projects that are canceled, and I didn't get notified right away for all of them. So for one of them, the team just I won't say who, but the team just disintegrated. So I didn't know until I reached out to them and they told me that they kind of like fell apart. So all of the work that we were doing with them, it just became a no public share kind of thing. But we were aware that we did it. It was a unique art style, but it became one of those projects where like, oh, you can't really like share that everywhere you go. And it says also on the artist side of things, if a project got canceled, do you still include it on your portfolio? So typically, if a big AAA studio cancels a project, you aren't allowed to put it on your portfolio. But the way around it is definitely the ways that I mentioned. So getting recommendations if you can from the people on that team that you worked with them would be a great thing, because then they would see, oh, this person that was on this project worked with me. So there's validity in what you're saying, because all that your canceled project is like proof of your work experience. So the same thing can be said for a testimonial for someone that's in the industry and oversaw the work that you were doing. And I also think that when it comes to NDAs too, you can navigate an NDA in a conversation without having to reveal too much about the project details if you focus on the pipeline, because the pipeline is pretty standard. And I'm not saying that, oh, studios don't have unique pipelines, because some of them really do. Some of them are doing really cutting edge things that everybody isn't doing yet. And that's why they won't do talks at GDC, or they won't reveal certain information, because they know what they're doing is really impressive. But what I've seen is sometimes some studios replicate similar pipelines, or they use standard techniques that are used all across different types of projects. So you could speak more to your skills in that technique or something that's trending in the market, instead of bringing up a specific project title. So just because a project disappears, it doesn't mean your experience has to disappear along with it. And it says, for a programmer under an NDA on a project that was already released, can I talk about general implementation ideas without getting into exact implementations? I would say it's kind of the same logic, right? Because you're speaking more towards your experience than the project itself. So you're not revealing any proprietary client information, you're not breaking any NDA, you're sharing what you did, and you're not revealing the project that you did that work on. So I think you would be fine. Yeah. As long as you tread carefully, because obviously everybody is always rightfully so very afraid. I don't want to get sued either. So please, whatever I'm saying, make sure you use your own discretion and think about the rules too. So think about the rules in the way that you interpret them, but also don't do anything that makes you uncomfortable.
100%. And that's I think too,
Yeah.
especially for like early career folks or people that are trying to build out their portfolios. That's where I think through of like talking to other artists, or talking to other like seniors, leads that you have, asking how they've done the process before. Get advice from people in your specific industry too, because I think that can be, you'll get ideas from other people that have gone through this before too. 100%.
Yes. Yes. There's actually a lot of people in the industry who have been on multiple projects and didn't get their credits for it because the project never shipped. But it doesn't mean that they're not experienced and very qualified, and they keep getting rehired. So they definitely found a way to communicate what they were working on with other people that understood production and what they were doing.
100%. No, and crediting gets complicated too, because crediting can sometimes be, obviously it's like super important to like list your credits if you have anything shipped. But I think then you get into issues where it's like, well, did you work on the game for 2 years, but then you got laid off right before the game shipped, and they take you off the credits and all this type of stuff. And some companies are really good about it, and other companies aren't. So I think crediting is a whole nother kind of complicated can of worms
Yeah,
too
it's so
sometimes.
complicated. I mean, like
Uh,
some companies will even remove your credit, right? Because you're no longer working there. And I really dislike when they do that. But
I'm very against that too.
it's, yeah, it's so bad, right? I won't name the companies that do that. But I always tell those people, just put your name on there anyways. You worked on it, you can verify it. Just because you're not physically in the movie or physically in the video game doesn't mean that you don't have credit. If you actually worked on it, put it on your resume. There you go. This is my AAA, because AAA always asks for that, right? Do you have any AAA experience? Do you have any AAA credits? Um, yeah, don't be afraid to just, if you worked on something, even though you're not in GTA 6, but you worked on it and you're no longer with Rockstar, it still counts as credit.
Yes. I 100% agree. And it's a complicated subject too, because even for external partners, getting credits wasn't always a thing. So sometimes they'll just say thanks to our external partners, and then nobody gets credited. So now
But
there's like an
who? But
initiative.
who?
But who worked on it? Yeah. So there's like an initiative now to kind of push people to credit everybody who worked on a project. And some people complain because they're like, the credits are so long. And I'm like, personally, I will never complain if the credits are really, really long, because it means that they took the extra time to make sure everybody got acknowledged. I'm totally fine with that. I'd rather that than people, like you said, getting left off. And sometimes people's kids get credited. So because some teams really go the extra mile, and I'm like, that's like, thank goodness that they do that, because you could tell those are the teams that really try to involve everybody.
Hmm.
But there's some where they won't they'll credit you, but they won't give you the game. So you have to buy the game to see your name in the credits,
Oh, wow.
because nobody posted the credits online. And I'm like, huh? So it's like you have to pay like $100 to get to see what you worked on, which is kind of funny. So like, yeah, there's not every team's the same.
No, definitely not. That's crazy though.
Yeah.
If they make you buy the game.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm like, wow, like I won't say which team, but I had a friend who worked on a game, and he told me that he was on the internal team working on the game, and they gave him the credits, but they never gave him the game. So it was really funny. He's like, I still had to buy the game myself.
Gotta
I'm
get
like,
those
what?
numbers up somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is insane.
Yeah.
Well, we have about 5 minutes here. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and again, apologize. I know it's out of our hands, but I'll apologize again on Discord's behalf. For
It's
those who
okay.
can't make it, it is being recorded. and so please watch the recording afterwards. So if you can share, what has been motivational or inspirational for you, or any tips out there for anyone who's watching now or offline later. What can you say in this type of industry, especially in the layoff apocalypse that we had the last 3 years? So a lot of discouragement right now.
Yeah, of course. Definitely it's sad and it can be impactful to everyone's roles because there's pressure all around the industry right now to perform and to do things that are extraordinary, and everyone wants you to do like multiple things. And we all have other responsibilities that we're juggling alongside our careers in games, so it can be rough. uh, One thing that has gotten me through it is trying to help others as much as possible, because in the beginning of my career, it was a little bit daunting, like I said, to hit my targets. And I was very concerned about the longevity of my career in sales. It was super stressful for me. But what I found, where I excelled the most, was when I just did things for people without expecting something in return. And that's really helped me. Is People always told me pay it forward, but I used to tell myself, oh, I don't have a lot, because I was thinking in the lack mindset that I used to have. And now I'm kind of thinking more from abundance, like I can help these people, I can help myself too. And if I just take the extra 5 minutes at an event to type a LinkedIn intro for someone that's looking for a publisher or looking for investment, then they might introduce somebody else to somebody else. And if I know those people, then why not do it while I'm in front of them so they could see me doing it? And it just makes it like I don't forget. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, now I didn't forget. Now I don't look like a flake, because I do get busy and it's easy to forget things right away. And I always feel guilty. I'm like, I don't want to feel that way. So I always see really busy people. Like, we're in Amir's community right now. Amir's super busy, but every time I'm at a show, he always makes time for me. He always comes up, he always has a conversation, and he has so many people hitting him up all the time. So I'm like, you know what? I'm busy, but everybody else is busy too. So we can all help each other and progress the industry forward. So I like it. And I also like being able to mentor the next generation. So I have a couple of mentees, and some of the mentees in my cohort are working in the industry right now. Some of them are in esports, some of them are in game development, some of them are working in events. And I took some extra time to get to know them better at events and introduce them to more people that would help them, because it's a hard time right now. If they don't get that face time, they might not know somebody for years who can help them get their foot in the door. So I always have my LinkedIn open to everybody who wants help, who needs an intro, who needs to reach out to somebody. And I don't charge for introductions either, because I just don't believe in that. I know it's like a business thing, and it's like, okay, if you were to come to me like 4 times and you became a millionaire, then sure, we could talk about contracts or something. But if it was just like something that helped you, like, okay, sure, whatever, like, it's gonna take me a few minutes. Everybody does it for everybody, and all the people who do that for me have made it easier for me to do my job, and they didn't get anything in return right away. And whenever I could help them out, I tried my best to help them out whichever way I could. So I feel like if we all just give back, then the industry will be in a much better place. And I know that it's a hard and sad time right now, but I don't get annoyed or irritated at anybody sharing anything with me, because we all have a right to be, a little bit upset with the direction of the game industry. But I also want everyone to know, like, outside of this is not the only thing that validates us.
Oh,
Like,
it's
we're
in
still really talented, wonderful
where
people
my
to be
wallet's
around.
at.
So that's all I wanted to share.
It's a great
And I'm
positive
very
ending
grateful.
note.
Thank you. I'm really grateful to be here. I'm beyond grateful to be able to even do this talk. Like, I never saw an opportunity like this, so I was really happy when Amir reached out. So I'm really grateful to everybody who listened to. It means a lot to me.
I love, and I'll just point it out, and I'm just being my own biases here. I love when people are grateful and humble, and you start using words like abundance and everything, because I'm the same way. I am
Yeah.
a manifester, and I believe in positivity. I'm going to drop your LinkedIn in chat. Everyone, please follow Ayan, please. I also
Thank
just recently
you.
connected with her as well, so I love these type of chats because we get to be introduced to all different people. I didn't even know Luke before, called you Link, until he joined the same charity group I did. And, this is how you meet people, right? Right, folks? So either you meet them through the Discord, or you meet them at GDC, or you meet them at PAX West, wherever you do. And I think Ian mentioned that before. You go out there with a full heart, you go out there with good intentions, things are going to happen, right? You're going to start developing pathways, you're going to start developing chains and links, and you're going to get connected with all sorts of people. And so that's the beautiful thing about our business here, is that we are always connected. And so I really enjoyed it myself here, even though Amir couldn't be here tonight. Luke, any final words from your end, my friend?
I can't say it any better than y'all. So y'all covered it.
The silent Jedi
Thank you
master
so much.
here.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.